Hello everyone, and welcome to the Commander's Forge. And we are back with your regularly scheduled episode. Although, for some reason, Spotify didn't pick up the last episode I released, but, whatever. So, the Commander's Forge is an area for me to talk about magic, Commander, life. It's kind of my one-stop shop to just ramble to, I don't know, like the 5 people that actually listen. That said, we have a new Patreon supporter, and I would like to welcome Isaac to the Forge. Anyway, it's time for our stat updates for our games from May. And it shouldn't be too long, but let's see here. During the month of May, we played 17 games. We won 3 of those games. That gave us a win rate of 17.6%. Of the decks we played Yumori the Collector twice, Kolaghan the Storm's Fury twice, and Linden the Steadfast Queen twice, meaning they were the 3 decks that I played the most. And then looking down the list of the people that I played, the person I played the most games with was Andy Flory, with a total of 10 games. And then second place is a 3-way tie between Josh, Coyle, the other host of the Guardian Project podcast, and Parker, but all of which are from the Guardian Project podcast Discord, which has basically become my meta over the pandemic. But then after those 3 with 5, it's rounded out with Lenny Woolley at 4 games. Now, we had some rough games this month. Hit a bit of a crisis of faith with Yumori after 1 game. But I don't know. I figured it out. It's fine. I like to build off the wall decks as it happens.
Hey, did you know that for as little as $1 a month, you can help support this podcast? All you have to do is go to patreon.com/commandersforge, and that is CMDR_forge. That's it. That's all I got to say about it. If you want to help support the podcast, you can go there.
And welcome back. Now, today I was going to finish up my cards that I'm excited for from Modern Horizons 2, but due to the fact that I am not going to have money for Modern Horizons 2, I figured that point was kind of moot. So instead, I'm going to talk about one of the decks that I put together recently that it still needs some tweaking, but I have the general idea behind it. And I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce this somehow, but I believe it's Freya, Judge of Valor. She is an Angel Cleric from Kaldheim. She is a 2/4 for 2 white, black. She has flying and lifelink, and whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard. And I had an Angel Tribal deck around 2 years ago that was mono white, and it really wasn't good because there were no low drop angels, and Kaldheim kind of fixed that. But her ability to put cards into our graveyard meant I wanted to run a reanimate package with stuff like, reanimate, which is a single black for a sorcery. You put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. You lose life equal to its converted mana cost. Arguably one of our best reanimating cards, but I follow that up with something like Beacon of Unrest, which is 3 black for a sorcery. Put target artifact or creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, and then you shuffle Beacon of Unrest into its owner's library. There's the Rescue from the Underworld, which is 4 and a black for an instant. As an additional cost to cast Rescue from the Underworld, you sacrifice a creature. You choose target creature card in your graveyard, you return that card and the sacrificed card to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of your next upkeep, and then you exile Rescue to the Underworld. There's a few different styles of getting cards back in the deck. The ones that bring them to the battlefield are arguably the best, like Victimize, 2 and a black, sorcery, choose 2 creature cards in your graveyard, sacrifice a creature, and then if you do your turn, the chosen cards to the battlefield tapped. Rise from the Grave is a 5 mana, put target card in a graveyard onto the battlefield. It becomes a zombie, in addition to its other types for a sorcery. And then we are running Return from Extinction. It's 1 and a black for a sorcery. You either choose to return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, or you can return 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand if they share a creature type. Again, it's a way to get them back if we put them there with our commander's ability. Yeah, just a nice reanimator package. Now, the rest of the deck is an Angel Tribal deck, and that starts with Sarah the Benevolent. 2 white for a legendary planeswalker Sarah. She enters with 4 loyalty. You can +2, and creatures you control with flying get +1/+1 till end of turn. You can -3 to create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance, otherwise known as a Sarah's Angel. And you can -6 to get an emblem that says, if you control a creature, damage that would reduce your life total to less than 1 reduces it to 1 instead. Is it the greatest card? No, not necessarily. But then we kind of get into our creature package. I'm going to start that with Lyra Dawnbringer. Lyra was my original Angel Tribal deck, and she is 3 white for a 5/5 with flying, first strike, and lifelink, and other angels you control get +1/+1 and have lifelink. And that was paired with stuff like Resplendent Angel, which is 1 white for an angel, 33 with flying. And at the beginning of each end step, if you gain 5 or more life this turn, you create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance. And you can pay 3 white, and until end of turn, Resplendent Angel gets +2/+2 and lifelink. And it wouldn't be an angel deck without Baneslayer Angel, 3 white, 5/5, has flying, first strike, lifelink, protection from demons and from dragons. Another remnant from that deck was the combination of Bruna the Fading Light and Gisela the Broken Blade. Bruna the Fading Light is 5 white for an Angel Horror, and it is a 5/7. When you cast Bruna the Fading Light, you may return target angel or human card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It has flying, vigilance, and melds with Gisela the Broken Blade. Now, Gisela is 2 white for a 4/3 Angel Horror. She has flying, first strike, and lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, if you both own and control Gisela the Broken Blade and a creature named Bruna the Fading Light, you exile them and then meld them into Brazilla, Voice of Nightmares. Brazilla, Voice of Nightmares, is an Eldrazi angel. It is a 9/10, and it has flying, first strike, vigilance, lifelink, and your opponents can't cast spells with converted mana cost 3 or less. It is a stupid card, but the odds of actually flipping it and melding it, not the greatest. In addition, 2 more cards that were layovers from that deck were Avacyn, Angel of Hope, 5 white for an 8/8 angel. Flying, vigilance, indestructible, and other permanents you control have indestructible. And Saphara, the Sky's Blade, is 4 white for a 7/7, but you may pay white and tap 4 untapped creatures you control with flying rather than pay the spell's mana cost. She has flying, lifelink, and other creatures you control with flying have indestructible. But yeah, there were some sick pickups for this deck. One of the main things you may have noticed is a lot of those creatures are very expensive. So Kaldheim gave us Youthful Valkyrie. It's 1 and a white for a 1/3. It has flying, and whenever another angel enters the battlefield under your control, you put a +1/+1 counter on Youthful Valkyrie. We also got Righteous Valkyrie, which is 2 and a white for a 2/4, and she's an angel cleric. She has flying, and whenever another angel or cleric enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness, and as long as you have at least 7 life more than your starting life total, creatures you control get +2/+2. Resplendent Marshal is 1 white for a 3/3 Angel Warrior. Has flying, and when Resplendent Marshal enters the battlefield or dies, you may exile another creature card from your graveyard. When you do, you put a +1/+1 counter on any creature you control other than Resplendent Marshal that shares a creature type with the exiled card. And we're going to round out this with Angel of Destiny. 3 white Angel Cleric, 2/6. Flying and double strike. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each gain that much life. And then at the beginning of your end step, if you have at least 15 life more than your starting life total, each player Angel of Destiny attack this turn loses the game. And finally, we're going to talk about Herald of War. 3 white for a 3/3. Flying. Whenever Herald of War attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. And then angel spells and human spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each +1/+1 counter on Herald of War. It's a fairly straightforward deck. It could use some tuning, but for the most part, it was just something I wanted to put together. It is very much primarily a white deck, so my commander's cost is a little awkward, and I've thought about changing it with Lisa, the black-white angel from Commander Legends. But I don't know. That should be it. If you haven't heard, I'm trying to raise money to pay off the IRS because they are breathing down my neck. And if you want to help, I have a GoFundMe started. Again, if you want to help support the podcast, share, like, subscribe, join the Patreon. But other than that, I do believe I will see you next time. That brings us to the end of the podcast. I would like to thank Nate and Erica Jacobs for designing my logo, and Cody Mulpey and Ian Foss for allowing me to use a sample of music from their band The Crypt. The podcast can be found on YouTube by searching Commander's Forge. The podcast is Commander's Forge, that is CMDR_Forge on Twitter. I can be found on Twitter at BentzMr, that is BENTZMR. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time, and until then, here's to fun games and sick plays.